Hi there, good evening. Welcome to State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. I am Francis Aban. It's another Thursday evening, and of course, all the critical matters for national discussion, we'll have it here tonight. Tonight, we're focusing our lens on our educational space. This week, there's been a lot of talk about the Ghana Teacher Licensure Examination and the results. It's got a lot of people talking. Questions have been raised about teachers and their preparation to teach in the classroom and the kind of results we're seeing. But are we looking at this problem from the wrong perspective, or there's something that we're missing that we need to pay attention to? We'll try and delve into that tonight for our discussion tonight. We have our guest already here. The show is brought to you in association with MTN. MTN is everywhere you go, and Carbon is definitely our milk. Carrying multiple phones around can be such a chore. The unsightly bulge in your pocket, the extra weight in your purse, the stress that comes with switching from one phone to the other just to pick a phone call. Now imagine being able to switch between different numbers on the same phone easily and seamlessly. Well, guess what? You can go seamless with MTN eSIM and enjoy the convenience of connecting multiple phone numbers to one single phone or device. To check if your device is compatible, simply dial *#06#, *#06#. Once you receive an EID number, it means your phone or device is compatible. Simply download the My MTN app today to request your MTN eSIM and enjoy the sweet, seamless life everywhere you go. Also, you have the opportunity, the chance to enjoy any of your favorite delicious, tasty Carbon flavors: choco malt, mocha, strawberry, banana, and coconut at any time of the day, and it's easy to prepare as well. Carbon is definitely our milk. So tonight, as I said, our lens is fixed clearly on the Ghana Teacher Licensure Examination, the results that came through, and what it's throwing up that we need to pay attention to. My guest joining us to my immediate left, Nsako Fiasari, the Executive Director for the Africa Education Watch. I told him that I've not seen him in a while. Good to see him in flesh. Good evening to you, sir.
Yeah, good to be back here.
Yes, and good to see you.
Yeah.
Also with us is Dennis Osei, the Public Relations Officer for the National Teaching Council at the Ministry of Education. Good evening to you, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
I trust you're well.
Sure.
Wonderful. Before we get talking, I want to share with you the details of the results for the Ghana Teacher Licensure Examination, and the date is the 13th of June 2023, per what we've been made to understand. We know that for the exam, we had 5,438 persons sitting for the numeracy test, literacy 3,731, and then for EPS, has to do with the professional skills, 2,978. Now, per what we're told, 2 papers were taken in the first day. That's for literacy and EPS, and then numeracy was taken on the second day. 16 centers were in College of Education, while the other 2 were in UCC and UDS. Now, the list of the schools are there. I will not bore you with that, but with the malpractices that emerged, even for this exam, I want to go through some of them. There was impersonation at one of the centers. There was also the issue of somebody caught with different pictures on the registration printout and photo album. Now, upon confirmation from the NTC IT department, it was discovered that the said candidate was an impersonator for a certain master in Timba Moses Modon. Now, there are other malpractices too that were identified. One, Ernest Ahiaduau, attempted to write for his elder brother, Benjamin Ahiaduau, and both were caught. Also, there was another instance where people were caught in the exam hall copying from mobile phones. They actually took pictures of the questions, sent to someone to solve. They solved and then sent the answers on their phones, and they were trying to copy in the exam hall for this very exam that they sat to write. Now, there was one case as well where it was identified during the marking session that the literacy script of a particular candidate had 2 different handwritings and ink with different colors. So clearly, the suspicion that either 2 persons had tried to write the same paper, or papers were shuffled to represent the exam that they had written. Now, in terms of the level of failure that we had seen, out of this 7,728, 4,470 were resitting for the first time. Now, another 2,097 were resitting for the second time. Another 1,161 were resitting for the third time. And there were some that were above 3 times. Okay, so the breakdown here is that for the resit 1, they resat for 1 paper. That's 4,470. 2,097 resat 2 papers. And then 1,161 resat for all the 3 papers. Now, we're told that all who wrote this exam were doing a reset. However, some had come as much as 9 times, their 9th attempt at writing this particular teacher licensure examination. So that's the broad overview for you for what we have seen. If you look at the breakdown, the UCC has the highest number of those who sat for the exam, 2,409, out of which 1,975 failed the exam. The University of Education Winneba. Now, note that these 2 universities are leading when it comes to teaching or preparing teachers for the field of work or that profession of teaching. These 2 had the highest numbers, 2,409 for UCC, 2,226 who sat for the exam, and well over 70%, in fact more than 80% of those who sat from these 2 schools all failed the examination. Remember, all were doing a resit. So that's a cursory glance through the numbers for what we have seen with the performance thus far. I guess I'll start with you, Nsa, before I go to Dennis on this one. This detail has caused a lot of questions or an inquest into what's going on. But for you, is this a worrying situation that we should all be concerned about?
Well, good evening once again to your cherished audience. I believe that, well, we must be concerned anytime result of examinations like this, are churned out. We must be concerned because so far as the institution responsible for undertaking the examination is a living organism that seeks to grow and improve until it attains the highest level of excellence, it definitely has to review its performance in line with its set objective with the aim of improving, itself. And so within the context of self-introspection, review and reflection and building upon the gaps and then, seeking to be perfect. Within that context, every result requires an analysis, scrutiny, to guide us in the journey towards the full professionalization of the teaching profession. And so within that context, yes, it is important for us to discuss it. But I don't think that there are any, alarm bells to be rung. I don't think that this is a disaster as people are, some people are portraying it to be. I think it's just a storm in a teacup. Really? Being honest with you. Oh yes. To begin with, the teacher licensure examination is not designed to let everybody pass. Let's get it right. It is not the objective, or it is not one of the objectives of the NTC, okay, to examine you in a manner that makes you pass. That's not the objective behind assessment. You have to prove to them beyond reasonable doubt that you are qualified to go to the classroom on the basis of your performance. It is not the other way around, that it is designed to enable you pass. Then it's not necessary. Then it's not necessary. So, especially when you are dealing with you are dealing with reciters, okay. So some reciting for up to the 9th time, you definitely are not expecting the same level of pass we've been seeing, averaging 65-70% in the past 3-4 years for the first timers. You won't be seeing that, okay? Because if you are weak in literacy, let's be honest here, if you are weak in literacy, for instance, is a foundational skill. If your grammar is not good enough and you have issues with spelling, I'm not sure you can fix that issue at a tertiary level or post-tertiary, because most of this, because you are supposed to be a graduate, you understand. So if you write it 10 times you know, you're not going to learn how to spell well at that level. So if you see the pass rate is a bit high, we shouldn't be too worried that there's a crisis. I don't think it's a crisis. I think that there's no crisis. The licensor has been organized for about 5 years now, and we've seen significant and encouraging pass rates, which no one questioned. At the point, we had about 70% pass rate.
We call it 81%.
81%. And no one raised alarm bells that government was softening, you know, the mechanisms for everybody to go through. No one raised those alarm bells. So why is it that if you get a reverse, something close to 20% pass rate, and then you want to raise alarm? I don't think so. So let's
but Kofi, if the pass rate in the last 4 years has been above 60%, and then in 1 year you are seeing less than 20% for a pass, that should raise alarm bells.
No, don't say 1 year. We've not written the regular one this year. This is for receipts.
For receipts, okay.
If after the regular one you don't see if you like a standard or an average pass rate, you can have the basis to raise questions. But as I said, these are receipts, and for receipts, the pass rate is normally lower than, you know, the first timers. You understand? And if you look carefully at these receipts too, majority of them are sandwich and then distance students. Majority of them are distance and sandwich students, and we all know that we still have standard issues. We still have standard issues, you know, with our distance education system. We still have quality deficits. You know, we have a lot of work to do in that respect. And so seeing that about 70% of them are sandwich and distance, you know, candidates, you know, for me, rather encourages us to do more in terms of standards enhancements, you know, at a distant level. Let's begin to look at the issues of cut off the requirement for admitting students from that route, because it appears that, you know, once you are 25 and you pass the entrance exams, you are in, but, you know, the quality cannot be compared in any way to those in the regular school, but it should be comparable to the regular student. And so for me, all these are learning experiences for both the GTEC, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, and then the universities, you know, to take a second look at standards, you know, at the distance education and then the sandwich level, so that, you know, so I don't think there's any cause for alarm. The lessons will be learned, and then of course the process will keep improving until we get to the perfect level.
Okay, Dennis, Kofi is of the opinion that this is a storm in the teacup. Does the NTC view this pretty much the same way?
All right, good evening once again, and then to your viewers as well. We think it's alarming. We think like that because our problem had to do with somebody going through the process from basic to the senior high school, and then going through the tertiary system, and then still we are receiving performance of that sort, and it's something that we need to look into. And so in as much as we've had moments where we had good results, why should somebody go through all these systems? And if had not been the exam to be a check, they would have found themselves in a system. And I'm saying this not because all those who failed did not do well, but then we have some who performed way below average. I don't even want to say below average, like it is just below normal performance.
As in total failure?
As like the person is somebody that I just don't know how to describe it, but then it depicts that the person virtually has not, like,
no knowledge at all.
No knowledge at all. Because if you are a teacher, if you're a student who had gone through all these process, and you can't construct simple sentences like Kofi said, at least the basic tool for instruction at the basic school level, starting from class 4, is really English language. And that is how we find ourselves we have the grammar education at a part of the world. It's now that we are trying to introduce TVET and STEM. But as we speak, most of our education tilts grammar. And so at least you should have basic knowledge in literacy and numeracy. And this is a case we are having somebody who had gone through all this system and cannot even read to comprehend. You could see that the person has no idea, because you give a question and the instruction you have given that candidates will be penalized. Candidates who exceed 200 words will be penalized. And that was a person's caption. And then talking about candidates, and saw candidates at candidiasis. I was talking about candidiasis.
Are the questions here?
Yeah, that particular question is not here, but I can get it for you.
Okay.
I read that script.
Yes, and it's like the person. The question was just asking about virtual education and the effects. It was during the COVID era. So what are some of the challenges that we faced during that period, and then the effects on? And the person saw nothing about virtual learning, nothing, but went to discuss candidates. Candidates will be penalized. Candidates who exceed 200 words will be penalized. And that is what the person picked.
As a question?
Yes. And even use the same thing as a caption, and just copying to the paper, there was mistake. There were a lot of mistakes in just copying the same statements on the paper. There were mistakes. So how did we get here? How did the person move from all these stages and then go here? So it tells you that yesterday I was trying to go down and then understand certain things. But I saw that we have some students who have been able to go through the mill, but through examination or practice. And they were not caught. So they find themselves at the final part. And with this our examination, anytime we release, before we even release, we have a moment where we meet vice chancellors, principals of colleges of education, all those who matter in the training sector, and we call them the awards committee. So at the committee level, we bring out all the problems, and they will be even asking, how did such a person finish the system without any problem? And the person has come out. That is where they will get to know that even though we are training a lot, definitely you may have people who have their way through. But that is where we are calling that the nation should pay attention to it. I always state this as a national security threat, because if had it not been this exam, these people would have found themselves in the system.
In the classroom.
So, yes, and so what is going to happen to such, like the students who go through the hands of...
Okay, let me ask this as a caveat. So all who sat for this exam are not in the classroom teaching?
No. That is where we want to...
They've not gone anywhere close to classroom teaching?
No, let's say some had gone through service, national service in the classroom. But to come out as full...
What quantum of these numbers are going to the classroom as national service personnel?
Normally, and national service is an induction period.
Yes.
So you are not supposed to be a teacher, but you are going to be mentored to go through the process by a professional teacher already in the system. And so they go out there and then learn from their mentors. So that is through the national service. That's what we normally expect them to do. But they are not on government payroll as teachers or staff of GES whatsoever. No,
not at all. And does this exam cover those who are in the classroom as well?
No, it's really for pre-service teachers.
Okay.
When you say pre-service teachers, they are teachers who are still at the trainings. So you go through, before you can write a paper, you need to be a graduate. You had gone through the initial training and passed. So that is why we the council think that there is something wrong somewhere. That the whole nation needs to look into. It shouldn't be a one person's business. And you know, in the past, I saw Kofi's post on Facebook today, and somebody was chastising him for posting, and even requested that he pulls it down and apologize for disgracing the profession. I just sat and said that person is a disgrace to the profession, because you want anybody to enter the profession that you uphold. You think that anybody should enter something that you uphold, and so we preventing them to come and then downgrade the system. You think that we are rather the problem. So that is how we find ourselves today. And before, they thought we were not marking. They thought we sit and conjure marks, and people, we think that our favorite should go. So we wanted the general public to know what is happening. People were referring us to NMC. And then we asked, has any nurse come out to chastise NMC for not marking their scripts? No. But we are in the news everywhere. After examination, when there is a pass, we don't hear our names. But when there are failure, they come.
Okay, so this exam that's been written since 2018.
Yeah.
Am I and this purely for clarity? Those who failed since 2018 are the ones who resat this one.
Yes, and that's it can happen that somebody has failed. This is the second time the person is writing.
Okay.
Because we write twice in every year.
I see.
So as we move on, we add on. It was only this year that we restricted that the first examination, and we are doing this because we have a reform to introduce in September, and that one affects only those who have completed. Those who completed last year and they are having their service, both in the university and the colleges of education, but they are degree teachers, they are the bachelors.
Okay.
So they are going to go through the new reform. And so we decided that this particular year, we will only have those who have a deficit to clear themselves so that they will not
be part of the new
system.
So with this one, for this failure and for the over 80% that failed, do you have any chance, or that's it? End of story for them?
They now have just a single chance to
one more chance.
Yes, but if you are not able to do it, meaning whatever they have made, they throw it away. Come and join the new system. And the new system, if you're a diplomate, meaning you have to upgrade and get a degree before you can come and write. But if you have a degree already, then you just join next year and then redeem yourself.
I see. I'll go for our very first break. After the break, Mr. Sari mentioned something about a lot of these persons who are failing doing either distance or sandwich courses. Is that where the problem is? The rigor, the attention to be sure that they are learning right and actually passing to even qualify to write this exam. We'll talk about that tonight. And the broader matter of whether this should extend to those who are in the classroom teaching. Because I'm sure you watching us tonight, you know a teacher somewhere who you question whether this person is actually a teacher based on their diction, based on how they conduct themselves, based on what they teach children and what kind of homework they bring home. We will discuss that tonight and see what really we have to do in reforming our education space. We're back after the break.
Any mammy do fee, or yet more you see, and no pebby, I mean, your best sorry, or dim, no codule. Sounds na me bra, or if you tell go to engine, no pejanging, the card you must say this city, there be beerano, what in dende, me amere, or store, no diliga, Salam papa, Nifia conkind, or sorry, and pana, no fancy kind, or kunefu, me, acrobato, Majuma may, me can news, na me acti, na me come back, Tebiarano, a bram de bedampuna adias, Nanso men sorry, Dacro cranka said, whom be a mea, Nina just said, your secret, and tasam, a dra, the boy, Nina Kowa, mesha kurani eyadura wonomu a ebo nipadua no ema wosi pi usita nunum bi na obedia danse
obenye bi ato ewo pharmacy and licensed chemical shops
na opedudo otunso a fresh telephone number si kowa mesha abusua amintasem
nyama apemfo nkoda woni mfie dumienu ne mma oma nkwada no fo
FG agi edwade nkrato ya atom.
Water is life. Water gives life. Water moves through nature in a never-ending cycle. Observe the beauty of water as it flows all around us, refreshing and restoring. Gaze in wonder at the stillness and beauty of nature. There's harmony in nature everywhere around. Water revitalizes the body and keeps you going strong. Water is life. Water gives life. Drink Awake Purified Drinking Water. One for life. So relax and unwind, and in the calmness of nature, find the rest you desire. For every bottle of Awake you buy, an amount to be donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. This advert is FDA approved.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Accra, Ghana. Get ready for the biggest gathering of armed wrestlers on the continent. Happening live from the 21st to 25th of June. Africa is coming. Accra is ready. GHOne TV will bring you the live telecast of this event. Let's rally support for Team Ghana. Ready for the biggest gathering of armed wrestlers on the continent. Happening live from the 21st to 25th of June. Africa is coming. Accra is ready. GHOne TV will bring you the live telecast of this event. Let's rally support for Team Ghana.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. I'm Francis, and tonight we're looking at the Ghana Teacher Licensing Examination, the bigger matter of our educational system as a country. The show is brought to you in association with MTN. MTN is everywhere you go, and Carbala Milk as well as Coa Mixture. Speaking of MTN, there's a chance for you to stop depending on multiple phones and switching between phones to pick a call. You can now go seamless on MTN with their seamless service. Now, it's a very simple process that you can go through, and it's not so difficult. All you have to do is download the My MTN app on your phone, but you have to first check if your device is compatible even with MTN eSIM. So what you will do then is to dial this short code very, very simply. *#06#. *#06#. Once you receive an EID number, it means your phone or device is compatible. Then you download the app and then request your MTN eSIM and enjoy the sweet, seamless life everywhere you go. From Cowbell, you can enjoy any of their favorite delicious, tasty Cowbell flavors. I'm talking choco malt, mocha, strawberry, banana, and coconut at any time of the day, and it's easy to prepare as well. Cowbell is definitely our milk. This advert is FDA approved. Now, the human body has natural defenses that fight disease. Now, once these defenses are compromised, it allows for all kinds of infections to attack the human body. And that's why I recommend for you today GHOne mixture. Is that herbal medicine that supports the human body for a general well-being. It comes in a colorless liquid form. Take GHOne mixture today for your general well-being. Get a bottle of GHOne mixture today and restore your health. GHOne mixture is available in pharmacy shops, over-the-counter medicine sellers, as well as health shops. GHOne mixture is produced by the GHOne Research and Manufacturing Company Limited right here in Ghana, and it's not recommended for pregnant women and nursing mothers and children under the age of 12 years. And this adult is also FDA approved. For bulk purchase, you can call the following numbers per your location. If you're in Cape Coast, the number to reach us is 0244726611. In Accra, 0249778187, and then in Kumasi, 0249739116. GHOne mixture for your general well-being. Okay, so we've looked broadly, and some of the questions I saw, which they had to answer. Which of the following can you develop confidence in yourself as a professional teacher? Then the options: attending in-service training, being punctual at school, having better conditions of service, using teacher and learning materials. And some of the answers I'm seeing, shocking. But Dennis raises a point that I wanted to come back to you on, which is that these are people who have gone through the educational system. They've gone through years in the teacher training colleges. They've written exams. They've passed. And they are writing a licensure examination. So should our lens not rather focus on these teacher training institutions, how they've allowed such persons to pass examinations and were almost ready to go and teach in a classroom until this exam came to sieve them in?
Yeah, before I address that, let me reiterate that if I say this is no big deal, it doesn't mean it is not serious. It is serious, but it is not. I don't see it as an emergency. You understand? Because the essence of the licensor is to sieve. Is to sieve and get the best into our classrooms. And so if the licensor sieves only 10% out of 100, I should be happy that we have a quality sieving mechanism. So it is within that context that I'm saying that I don't see anything, anything huge about this. That's why I started by saying that the licensor is not designed to enable you pass. If that was the objective, then it wouldn't be there. You understand? It is designed for you to prove beyond reasonable doubt to the licensing authority that you deserve to be in the classroom.
But they've gone through teacher training. Is that not enough proof?
If teacher training was enough, we wouldn't have introduced the licensor.
But is the licensure not opening up or showing that we do not trust the teacher training institutions to have done a rigorous job in picking the best and brightest and training them worthy of our classrooms?
Indeed, it is actually emerging. It is actually leading us to a discussion about standards in our universities.
Yes.
Another point I'm making, that if you look at about 70% of the candidates in this picture, they are not regular students. They are either sandwich or they are distance students.
Yes.
And we all know that admissions into these programs, are normally staggered when it comes to the cutoffs. It is relaxed. It is not as stringent as admission to pursue the regular programs. Sometimes because it's an extra year for you to spend, you do one more year, compared to those who are in the regular school. But the point I want to make is that the universities are happy about admitting students through the sandwich and the distance mode.
Why?
I'll come to that. As an education economist, I am also happy that we have virtual ways of delivering tertiary education, because to be honest with you, the most cost-efficient way of expanding access to tertiary and meeting our gross tertiary enrollment targets of 30% is not only through the brick and mortar approach, which is very, very expensive. So whenever I see in institutions of higher learning, tertiary institutions deploying virtual learning systems and distance learning programs to increase enrollment, I feel happy. Because it is cost efficient. However, we must be mindful of the quality. This result is telling us that there are quality issues with our distant education, our distant learning programs. And so the University of Cape Coast and University of Education, for instance, they have the highest number of, of distance students. And we know the universities are happy to expand access through that means. Apart from supporting government to increase the gross tertiary enrollment to meet its targets, it is a major source of internally generated funds to the universities. You understand? But we should be mindful of the quality. The two advantages of having distance and then sandwich programs, i.e. the policy objective of helping government meet the gross tertiary enrollment targets, and secondly, helping the universities also reach more and then raise more funds, IGFs, to run the universities as governments are unable to finance the universities adequately. We must be mindful not to dilute these two. Not to dilute the quality, taking these two factors into consideration. That is why I'm saying that the universities themselves, I'm sure by now, they will be asking questions about minimum standards in their sandwich classes and their distant classes, and begin to review, if you like, the entry requirements and all that. Because if it is difficult for a student to write a letter to the Minister of Education, and you are writing a letter to a minister and you can write, "Dear Minister, Madam," then it means that you have because writing, so far as I'm concerned, learning how to write letters ends at class 6.
Yes.
It's a class 6 business.
It's a basic matter.
It's a primary school matter, not even a basic school. It's a primary school matter, not a junior high school.
Yeah.
So if you struggle with that, and you are supposed to have completed the University of Cape Coast or the University of Education, on your certificate, it won't be mentioned that you were a distance student. You will be holding the same certificate that I am holding from the University of Cape Coast some 22 years ago. So the standards for me are the most important thing. And I am happy to see students from the universities especially performing even higher or better than the others. I am aware that initially there were some challenges at the rollout phase. The colleges had programs that were much more tilted towards the teaching standards. Okay, and so their students were always much more prepared to be examined in another license examination than the faculties, because the faculties had not adapted their curriculum to fit international teaching standards. But now there are programs that have been mounted at UCC, for instance. They have this professional enhancement program which virtually prepares you for the licensor. So having these programs in place, one expects to see performance in the licensor increase. But my emphasis is that you cannot learn how to write English. You cannot learn how to spell, organize. You cannot learn how to string together a sentence in English at the tertiary level. These are foundational issues, and so our tertiary institutions must be mindful of those they admit, especially through the distance route. They must be very, very mindful. If you can't write English, if you can't speak English, you can't teach maths. Every language that is taught in class, with the exception of the other languages, every subject that is taught in class, you need English as a medium of instruction to be able to communicate.
Okay, but I've heard some who have suggested that why don't we introduce this level of rigor and sieving even before they enter these institutions to study these courses, instead of reverse, where they go in and then when they're done with the course, you are sieving. Because if we sieve before they enter, we'll get the best and brightest to spend time to train as teachers, instead of having them go through and then see this level of failure as we've seen with the resets.
There is a problem. And the problem is the quality assurance mechanisms post-secondary. The problem is that we've had issues with certification, quality of certification at the WIAC level. We've had students holding certificates that they could not speak to. Okay, and so it is that problem that led to universities introduce what we call level 50 in those days, where they had to come and do a pre-university program and write an examination.
Yes.
It was because they didn't trust the certification of the pre-tertiary SSIY.
So entrance examination, should we bring that in as a way of see if this instead of having them finish and do the licensure exam?
We advised government 2 years ago that if we don't see significant improvement in WAEC's effort to strengthen question security, clamp down examination malpractice, and sanitize its examination, its assessment system, and certification system, the universities will not have any option than to reintroduce them. But I must admit that in the past year, we've seen significant progress. Collaboration between the Ministry of Education and WAEC to strengthen question security and then clamp down on examination malpractice. And so I am beginning to have more confidence in WAEC systems. I think that at this point, it will be, if the universities want to introduce entrance examination or before admitting students, it is within their right whether they want to introduce entrance exams or interviews, But I think that it should be purposive. For instance, if on the face of one's result you believe that the person is not able to speak to that result, if you have any reasonable basis to suspect that one's result does not reflect the person's,
actual performance,
yes, you can take the person through that. We know, and the universities do know, where a lot of this malpractice take place, and so if they still believe that someone might have gotten a certificate 4 years ago when there were many loopholes in the WAEC system.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they got it this year when things are improving. They probably would have gotten it years back. So they have the right to. That conversation is not out of place at all. The ministry raised that issue, I think, a year ago, that we are considering introducing the entrance
examination.
I think it was exam or interview, I don't remember, in the colleges. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If they have a reasonable basis to
look into it.
Yeah.
Should we, based on what we've seen, I'm not saying that this is reflective of the entire whole, but should we begin to have teachers who are in the classrooms now, these assessments being done to see what level of proficiency they are at to even merit still be in the classroom? Should we have that kind of exam for them as well?
All right. I think it's going to be a difficult thing.
Why?
That is why we have also introduced a program to help shape them while they are on the job. So the council has introduced continuous professional development of the teacher. So as you're on the job, you'll be given in-service training and then the best practices. Now artificial intelligence is taking over everything. And so we see the best thing we introduce. So we have service providers who go around the districts to administer the CPDs to the teachers. And because, every law is not retrogressive. So introducing a new program, you can't just say that because I've introduced this, then everybody should be on board. So that is why we halted the whole process from somewhere, paused, and then we moved on to another place where we said that before you can join the system, you need to be sieved. But if you are already in the system, we will help you reshape yourself, or let's say upgrade in the course of the best practices. So that is what we have introduced. And we saw that some years back, just like Kofi said, we had only 2 training institutions in Ghana, UCC and the
University of Education,
where all the colleges of education were affiliated to UCC. But today, we have almost every university offering education now. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Education, University of Ghana, UDS, private universities, Value University, Presby, almost every school is offering education now. And so, and all of them too have been accredited by GTech. They've gone through the process of accreditation, meaning their courses are really sanctioned. So what is going to be the common exam for everybody? You have had your training everywhere with your standards, but with our exam, it just satisfies the needs of the national teacher standards. That's all. And so we put all of you on the same scale. I've had my training in Valley View, UCC, whatever. Now this is the common classroom you are entering. And so we say that before you can enter that common classroom, all of you should take one test. And this is the results we are seeing. So we think going to bring our teachers back, since laws are not retrogressive, it's going to bring a lot of confusion in the system. Because you know exactly what I'm saying. You know,
because if we're sieving before they enter, one would imagine that we do a certain assessment to also sieve those who are already in the classroom, but quote unquote, and pardon my French, feeding people poison as teachers in the classroom.
You see, the problem is we can't say we don't know what's happening in the system. But just like we said, we have halted the process. In Chiose, the Muadino, Umuninko, because the law does not empower us to go and examine people in the system and then, let's say, take them out of the system. Then we make sure that where our mandate starts, if you want to now enter, let's get the best for the system.
Okay.
So that, but just like you said, there will be a time that those teachers that we think are in the system are not performing. They will definitely leave the system. And so we now feed in with a new one. Yes.
Okay. I'll go for a short break now. When I return, we'll look at best practice around the world and what other tweaks we need to look at today. All right, we're back after the break.
Water is life. Water gives life. Water moves through nature in a never-ending cycle. Observe the beauty of water as it flows all around us, refreshing and restoring. Gaze in wonder at the stillness and beauty of nature. There's harmony in nature everywhere around. Water revitalizes the body and keeps you going strong. Water is life. Water gives life. Drink Awake Purified Drinking Water. One for life. So relax and unwind, and in the calmness of nature, find the rest you desire. For every bottle of Awake you buy, an amount to be donated to the National Cardiothoracic Center. This advert is FDA approved.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Accra, Ghana. Get ready for the biggest gathering of armed wrestlers on the continent. Happening live from the 21st to 25th of June. Africa is coming. Accra is ready. GHOne TV will bring you the live telecast of this event. Let's rally support for Team Ghana.
Stand to win your share of up to 10 million Ghana cedis in prizes with Betway's Scratch and Win. You can earn your first scratch card by playing table games, slots, or quick games. Scratch and reveal a range of exciting prizes from smartphones to fuel vouchers and more. Visit www.betway.com.gh. Terms and conditions apply. Regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. No under 18. Bet responsibly. Betway. Bet your way.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Accra, Ghana. Get ready for the biggest gathering of armed wrestlers on the continent. Happening live from the 21st to 25th of June. Africa is coming. Accra is ready. GHOne TV will bring you the live telecast of this event. Let's rally support for Team Ghana.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. I'm Francis. But tonight, we just discussed the details of the teacher licensure exam and also the bigger matter of where this leads us on our education reform journey. Our last wrap-up discussion will be on best practice, and based on this result, what we need to do immediately to tweak and get things better than what it is now. And so let me start with you. What are you mentioned that numeracy and literacy are basic. So how do we fix up at the basic level to ensure that in some years to come we don't see these problems of people unable to spell and taking a part of a question of no more than 200 becoming the basis for a question?
Let me begin by saying that best practice is in Ghana. Okay, so what we are doing here is best practice. Other countries are coming to learn.
Okay,
and they're coming to learn for a good cause. It is global best practice.
Okay,
and so I will always encourage the government and the NTC to continue doing the license. I expand the scope. I'm told it will be expanded to include the subjects, your core subjects. If you're going to take geography, you do geography 1, 2, English, etc. Perfect. Everybody wants to be sure that the best of our human resource find their way into our classrooms, and then must be properly motivated to deliver their best once you get the right people there.
Yeah.
Now, I think moving forward, the first we need to do is that we need to strengthen foundational learning in this country. As I said, you don't learn English in the university. Most of the literacy deficits are foundational and are issues that should have been fixed at a basic level. And so let's strengthen foundational learning, especially in literacy. Second, I think that we need to put a cap on the number of research that a candidate can undertake. Because as I said, the examination is not meant to make you pass and become a teacher. No, it is actually meant to challenge you. And so I think after 3 research it should be enough. You write it for the first time, you don't get it, 1, 2, 3 research, that's it,
you're out.
Yes, because you see, the more you create many research avenues, people will explore innovative negative means
to beat the system,
of beating the system and passing at all costs. You create a different layer of students called licensure practitioners. You understand? Yes, they'll be licensure practitioners, where they will be full-time licensure practitioners. Every year they are writing. We don't want to create that layer. We don't want to expose that system to those more practices and all that. And so let's put a cap on the research. I think if we do these 2 things, we should be having a much more progressive license examination, assuring parents that the best are available to be put in the classroom. There's a school of thought that says that if we continue this way, we are not going to get teachers. It's not true. It's not true. We are churning out about 25,000.
every year.
And the highest government is employing a year is about 15,000.
So the 10,000 are already extra.
One of our problems is not that. Our problem is to get quality teachers to enter our classroom. So let's focus on the quality.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Dennis.
Yeah, just like Kofi said, we already have the best practices. The only problem had to do with we buying into it, the general public accepting it, and then stop lambasting the system, especially the organizing institution. They make us feel like we are not doing the right thing. Meanwhile, they have not come closer to know what is actually happening in the system. And so I think with some of the scripts we are seeing out there, it's now a challenge for the general public, those who had virtually no idea about what is even happening in the system, to know that we are really doing something right. As we speak, we have about 3 countries understudied in Ghana, and a whole country like South Africa is one of them. And Namibia is ready to sponsor National Teaching Council for us to come there and institutionalize their system for them. So we have AFTRA, where all the regulatory bodies in Africa meet every year, and they all look up to Ghana. So it's also that even at the Africa level and then IFRA, they've seen that we are doing something right. And because of that, the whole, this UK migration thing, we have 4 countries in Africa that have been exempted from going through their QTS. And Ghana, South Africa, Nigeria, Zimbabwe. These are the 4 countries that have been exempted. So it's also that even globally, they recognize what we are doing. Because they came to Ghana to look through our system, had series of meetings with our leadership to see whether we are going through the best practices. So in Ghana, we don't have any deficit when it comes to going globally. But the problem has to do with we trying to accept the fact that we are doing the right thing and get the support of everybody so that we try and sanitize the system.
Okay. All right. I guess that's how we end our conversation tonight. I think the key point is that in Ghana, our system has proven to be robust. Of course, there's room to improve, and with every system, once we constantly improve, we get better and we go ahead of the curve. If we stand still, of course, things begin to overtake us. So good that things are happening right in certain areas. The part about universities and standards that have to be raised, especially for distance and sandwich courses, is one to look at going forward for all our university authorities. That should do it for us tonight here on the show. Thank you to you, Dennis Osei, PRO for the National Teaching Council at the Ministry of Education, and to Mr. Kofi Asare, the Executive Director for the Africa Education Watch. That should do it for us tonight here on State of Affairs. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my director, Nakwale, also my producer, Ibrahim Alassan, and Inakadem Kujo, and to the entire technical team. Thanks for making the show possible, and for you for watching tonight. Thanks, and have a good night.